Hello, and thank you for tuning in to Note to Pharm.D. My name is Kenya, and today I'll be going over some sterile compounding guidelines. If you're just tuning in, I am a New York State licensed pharmacist. I will be sitting for my board certification in sterile compounding this spring, and I've decided to utilize my YouTube as a study technique for my boards, hoping to help anyone else studying for the same thing or just to shed some light in this area of pharmacy. So now let's get into the objective today, which is to highlight the different types of sterile compounding guidelines. I would also attach the link to these guidelines in the description below for your reference. The first one is the ASHP guidelines on sterile compounding, updated in 2014 with the intent to help compounding personnel reduce the potential for harm. They've also provided context for the USP 797 standards. ASP also published guidelines on handling hazardous drugs. So these guidelines provide recommendations for safe handling of hazardous drugs for all healthcare personnel. However, just to note, these guidelines are not a substitute for USP 800. Now, moving on to the Institute for Safe Medication Practices, here they recommend practice guidelines to ensure safe preparations of compounded sterile products, CSPs, by licensed pharmacists, RPH, which is just an abbreviation for registered pharmacist. And now the CDC. So they have safe injection practices published to prevent the transmission of infectious agents from inappropriate sharing or reuse of needles, syringes. They also have guidelines for safe handling of single dose and multi dose vials. Next is the American Society for Parental and Enteral Nutrition. They've published guidelines for parental nutrition prescribing and preparation, as well as order review, which is more than helpful due to the complex nature of TPN orders. And TPN meaning total parental nutrition. Now, the Department of Health OSHA guidelines on controlling occupational exposure to hazardous drugs provides a systematic review of existing programs and requirements for safe handling of hazardous drugs. And lastly, the NIOSH alerts. Applicable in all healthcare settings, these alerts help increase awareness among healthcare workers about health risks when working with hazardous drugs. It provides a safe practice recommendations and creates a list of hazardous drugs, which is recognized by USP 800. And that concludes the guidelines as it pertains to sterile compounding. Again, I would paste the link for these guidelines in the description below. Don't forget to subscribe and also like, comment, and share any information that you might think is helpful. Or if you guys have any questions, you can comment below with that as well. I'll try to get back to you as soon as possible. Thank you. Have a good one. Until next time.